So this is the self-development with tactics book. Today, we're going to start with another book summary because I really truly enjoy them, and I really think that they're also really helpful, and I think it is also just a really great way to learn new things. It, of course, depends on what book you're going through, obviously, but there's just a lot of great books, and I also hope that this book is going to be a great one. But yeah, I'm going to talk about it later on, my thoughts on that, on the author and whatnot. But yeah, gonna see you then after the intro, as always. And by the way, everyone that is, I do just want to point out somebody, and maybe also hearing that, somebody from my class coming up to me and being like, well, I enjoy listening to your shit. You know, he didn't say it in this way, but I really truly appreciate that. And I really do want to point it out once again. And I hope that you're hearing this. So thank you a lot. Not gonna name your name, not gonna say your name. But I really truly thank you. So I appreciate it. I really do. You know, and I also appreciate people coming up to me and saying something like this. And also saying like, okay, you know, on the other hand, I do also have to appreciate people coming up to me and being like, well, I don't like your shit. You know, I don't like because of this and that, and actually giving me feedback. But there is something to it. You know, it is. Not everyone's gonna come up to you and be like, well, I actually like what you're doing. You know, this is not what a lot of people are doing, unfortunately, you know, which is kind of the case in various different aspects of life or various different situations of life. For example, when somebody's wearing something pretty cool, you might think, well, this is pretty cool, but you're not necessarily going to say it as well to this person. But I really truly believe that it is something that can really make somebody's day, and that can really just quote unquote help somebody, or this just could really add something to somebody's life, which is just insane, because it is one fucking singular word. Maybe it is one sentence, you know, but it is maybe meaning a lot to this person. I don't know, you don't know, we don't know unless we do it, unless we're just trying that out. So maybe doing this more would be an option, or just starting doing this would also be an option. But yeah, anyway, before I want to go through this episode, or before I want to go through this article, there is a few things that I'm having to cover. The first one is that this is a podcast. So if you're willing to just listen to it, then please go down into the description and then you can listen to it. You know, there's a link, and this link should lead you to a page where you can also choose to where to listen to the podcast on, because it is on Spotify, and it is on TuneIn, and it is also on Castbox and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Apple Podcast and Spotify as well. But it is basically everywhere. So wherever you might be listening to podcasts already, it should also be there. It is also on Bullhorn or Bullhorn, which is a pretty new platform, and as I've seen, which is fine with me because it gave me quite a lot of plays. Unfortunately, not a lot of listeners, which might be because of my content, because of whatever I'm doing, but yeah, anyway, the second thing is the notes. As you can kind of see, I'm highlighting certain parts of the summary that I think are important. So I'm basically summarizing this summary, or summarizing this article that I'm going to go through. And this is going to be down in a PDF, and you can just download this PDF and then also print it or just read it. It is for free. You can do whatever with it. And it is just for me a way to just provide you also something to read. In terms of like, you can listen to it and you can watch it. But what about reading? And this is my part of, okay, some people like to just read things, and then you're going to have everything that I'm going to go through in an episode in this PDF, you know, whether it is from multiple pages or multiple articles, or if it is only just from one article, which is maybe going to be the case for this one, then it is just anyway going to be down in this PDF. The third thing is the music. If you're willing to add some background music to the whole experience, then please check out the fourth link, third section. You know, there should be different genres, you can just adjust the volume and all different sorts of things. But yeah, as you not can see on the left side of the screen, because I actually have to deal with that, but now you can see it. We're going to go through Stillness Is The Key by Ryan Holiday. I didn't actually and honestly want to go through this because I have went through books that he wrote, and I wasn't always quite... Well, I think that I might be having some different worldviews and some different thoughts of how things should be or could be, or how we should do things, but I do want to say that this could just be the case for these few books or book summaries that I've read or gone through, but it could also just be about, I don't know. It could also be about the author, but I don't know. I do also have to point out that he's also into Stoicism or Stoicism. I think I've always actually pronounced it the wrong way, by the way. So Stoicism, I think it is the right way to pronounce that. And so he's also a Stoic or a Stoi. Well, I think it is actually Stoic. And I appreciate that, because I would say that I'm also one to some degree, because I really love this philosophy. There's also a lot of videos that I've done on Stoicism or Stoicism. So please check them out. For example, the Little Book of Stoicism by Jonas Salzgeber, or Gaber, or however you're actually pronouncing it. I'm very sorry. But it is an amazing, amazing, amazing episode, I would say, if you are interested in philosophy and just improving your life and all different kinds of things. It is a relatively old one. The new one is also a relatively old one. I've recorded it, I think, in December or something. So yeah. Stillness Is The Key by Ryan Holiday from the paulminus.com site. And the site is also going to be down in the description. So if you want to check out this article, then you can also do that. The aim of Stillness Is The Key is to show why slowing down is a secret weapon for those charging ahead, and how to uncover and draw upon the stillness we already possess and examine figures who exemplified its power. I do hope by examines figures he means that it's actually people, and I think it is people, yeah. I'm quite sure, actually. So there's also the contents. I do not really think that it is something important, so therefore I'm also not going to read it, but you can check it out if you want to. The introduction. Who is this book for? The book is an attainable path to enlightenment and excellence, greatness and happiness, performance, as well as presence for every kind of person. Which is actually something that's quite difficult, to write something that's meant for everyone. But I also would say that it is not meant for everyone, basically, because he's a marketer, as far as I know, and because I've also looked him up and I've also read his Wikipedia article. He was a really high positioned marketer for a company. I think it's actually been American Express, but I could also be wrong. I do just remember that it's been quite a big company, and he's also a journalist and a contributor to different magazines or different platforms, different maybe even networks, if you want to say that in this way. I don't know. So he's truly an accomplished person, and he's having a net worth of 45 million or something like that. So he's truly also a relatively wealthy person. He really is. And yeah, he truly is an interesting personality. I do want to say that. So Ryan Holiday, and I'm sorry, is an American author, marketer, entrepreneur, and founder of the creative advisory firm Jack. He is a media strategist, the former director of marketing for American Apparel. I'm sorry, it's not been American Express, but American Apparel, and a media columnist and editor-at-large for the New York Observer. Well, yeah. In the summary, the aim of Stillness Is The Key is to show why slowing down is the secret, blah, 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 blah. We've already read that one. But I'm gonna just highlight it once again. The book summary. All introduction to stillness. Car horns, stereos, cell phones, cell phone alarms, social media, notifications, chainsaws, airplanes, personal and professional problems. Who has the power to stop? Who has time to think of flight? That deafening noise. I hope it is not deafening. It is impossible, however, to find a philosophical school or religion that does not regard the opposite of noise as the highest good and the key to a happy life. You may be sure that you are at peace with yourself, Seneca wrote, who is, by the way, a Stoic. One of the actually most famous Stoics, even though there's like a table on Wikipedia where you can see like the old Stoics, the new Stoics, and I think he's like the middle-aged Stoics or something. So there are different categories, I would say. Seneca wrote, when no noise reaches you, when no words shake you out of yourself, whether it be flattery or a threat or merely an empty sound buzzing. In other words, stillness. And I do want to point out something. I do want to say something, and it is something that's incredibly important, and it is just amazing me. It amazes me that these people, Seneca, who is truly, if he would be living right now, he would be like 400 years old, 500 years old, something like that, I guess. I'm not quite sure. I'm never ever quite sure about about these things. But it truly amazes me that these people have also been thinking about that. And we often talk about evolution. Well, I've actually been talking about evolution for quite some bit the last few days, maybe even weeks, I guess. So, because I went through a book summary, if you don't know, and I do have to say that that is just amazing. This philosophy, these people have been living 500 or thousands of years ago, and they still have been thinking about the exact same fucking shit that we are thinking about as well. Or maybe we are also not thinking about that, but it is truly an amazing thing to say. And I'm gonna repeat it, therefore. When no noise reaches you, when no word shakes you out of yourself, whether it be flattery or a threat, or merely an empty sound buzzing. And the most important part for me is when no word shakes you out of yourself, whether it be flattery or a threat. What he says there is that you should be staying in your lane. You should be in the middle. This is at least what I'm seeing there. No word of flattery and no word of threat. Which for me means like, even though it is something good, you're not gonna be like, okay, I'm the best person on the fucking planet just because one person said to you that whatever you're doing, whatever you're working on is just amazing. Or when somebody comes up to you and is like, well, I totally hate you. These two things, these two basically opposites of the other one, quite. If no one of these things is shaking you, then you are in a truly good spot, because you're always going to be happy, I guess, because you're not only going to be happy because somebody said something to you, and you're not going to be devastated because somebody said something negative to you, which means that you're always going to be in your lane. You're always going to be in the middle. Of course, this is a difficult thing. Of course, it is a difficult thing to not feel bad when somebody said something to you, something bad to you. But I think it is even more difficult to not feel like a fucking superhero if somebody you especially also admire said something amazing to you. And the problem is, the more you're caring about the good things that other people told you or that other people are saying to you, the more you're also going to think about and also just basically care about the negative things people told you. So it's basically like, okay, you should give quote unquote a fuck about both of these things so that you're going to be able to stay in your lane, so that you're going to be able to be in the middle and to just, be happy, I guess. But let's see what Ryan says there. To be steady while the world spins around you, to act without frenzy, whatever frenzy means. Let's see what frenzy means. The crowd work themselves in the state of frenzy. Hysteria, madness, mania, insanity, derangement. To hear only what needs to be heard, to possess quietude, exterior and interior, on command. To hear only what needs to be heard. Quietude, as it is pronounced in story, a state of stillness, calmness, and a quiet person or place. It highlights her quietude and wise passivity, which is a pretty amazing one, or pretty interesting one as well. If you have given your best to something, knowing you have left absolutely nothing in reserve, that's stillness. So I actually, and maybe I'm a little bit biased as well, but I thought about like, okay, this book is going to be about, doing nothing, which I'm not a really great fan of. And as I've been reading actually the first few parts, I thought like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go through the whole one. If it is actually kind of communicating some things that I don't believe in. And I always have to say like, I don't believe in this. But on the flip side, so far, I really, really, really do enjoy it and I really like it. If you've poured all of your training into a single decision or decisive moment of performance, that is stillness. If you've walked out alone on a quiet street at night as the snow fell, content of being alive, that too is stillness. I'm gonna highlight all these things because they're amazing, because I like them. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke. Well, what a coincidence. There's gonna be a test for me, maybe even this week, I don't remember, but it's probably gonna be the next week, Monday or something, also featuring Rainer Maria Rilke. Well, really, what a coincidence. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke, articulated stillness as being full and complete, where all the random and approximate were muted. Let's explore the three domains of stillness. And I do have to say, feeling complete and feeling fulfilled is one of the most important parts you can have, and most important feelings you can have, because if you're truly fulfilled, there is no way that you're not going to be happy. If you're really truly feeling fulfilled, for me, this is just pure happiness. If you feel like, well, whatever the fuck you're doing, maybe it is even at work, and I do really hope that it is even in work or on work or whatever, but if you're just in your office, in your bureau, and you're feeling like, I'm actually happy, I'm actually fulfilled with what I'm doing, I actually feel like whatever the fuck you're doing or whatever the fuck I'm doing is something that makes sense, or whatever is actually something of meaning for you. Because for me, for example, I do not want to do something that's meaningless. I do not want to do something that's just there and I'm just working on something and whatever. I don't want to change things. And I'm really trying hard to change things as well, to some degree as well. But yeah, it is just amazing to feel fulfilled. To be steady while the world spins around you, to act without frenzy, to hear only what needs to be heard, to possess quietude, exterior and interior, on command. As he said again as a quote, the domain of the mind, or the domain of the mind. We all face crises, a business on the brink of collapse, an acrimonious divorce. Whatever acrimonious means, but we're gonna find it out. Bitter, rancorous, caustic, acerbic, scattering. Well, a decision about the future of our career, a moment where the whole game depends on us. In these situations, we must be fully present, empty our mind of preconceptions, take our time, sit quietly and reflect. It depends, reject distraction, weigh advice against the counsel of our convictions, and deliberate without being paralyzed. I do want to point out, and I do want to say that I don't know if you have to be silent and if you have to be like quietly sitting around and trying to reflect on whatever you want to reflect on. But I also do think that some people just working in a different way. Some people just doing things in a different way. And I'm probably gonna point that out way more often over the course of going through the summary. But yeah, it is what it is. Maybe this is also kind of the quote-unquote perfect way. Not necessarily for everyone, but maybe even for the majority. Because some people are just, as I said, working in a different way. And they also work in a different way. They also do things in a different way because how they're doing it is just working for them. And how the majority or how other people are doing something is just not working for them. Therefore, they're doing it in a different way. Become present. Being present demands all of us. It may be the hardest thing in the world. As we struggle with a crisis, our mind repeats on a loop just how unfair this is, how insane it is that it keeps happening and how it can't go on. Don't reject a difficult or boring moment because it is not exactly what you want. Don't waste a beautiful moment because you are insecure or shy. And there is going to be a quote. This moment we are experiencing right now is a gift. This is why we call it the present, or the present. Yes, it truly is a gift because every single second it's passing by. And it's never ever gonna be here once again. Right this second, this one, and this one, 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 and also this one. I'm never ever once in my life gonna experience these 5 seconds or whatever it's been. I don't know. I'm never ever once again experience these few seconds again. Never ever. They're not going to be there. There's not going to be another 5 seconds between 16/8 and 16/7. 1607 and 1608. There's never going to be this once again. In 2020, on the 19th of February, it's a Wednesday. It's never ever going to be here once again. And this is not something negative. It is like, appreciate the fucking life that you're having. Especially if you're living in a fucking first world country, because you're having fucking everything. You're having food, probably shelter, you're probably having clothes, you're probably having quite some shit that we need, that we are used to being in need of, like phones and other electronic stuff, which I'm so grateful for having, because, I mean, without the internet, and without my computer, and without my phone, and without everything that I'm having, well, also my mind and my body and my just willingness to do something, I would have never ever started a podcast. And I think it's been one of the most amazing things and most important things that I've done in my whole entire life. Besides just deciding to live, maybe. But it's been an amazing journey so far, and I do just still enjoy it, even though some days are more difficult than other days. But I've been able to just see the good. I've been able to just love what I'm doing. Limit your inputs. Each of us has access to more information than we could ever reasonably use. We tell ourselves that it is part of our job, that we have to be on top of things, and so we give up precious time to news, reports, meetings, and other forms of feedback. I do really love that, because he's not talking about fucking social media. He's not talking about, we're wasting so much time scrolling through fucking Instagram. It's about meetings, reports, news, and other forms of feedback. To think clearly, it is essential to figure out how to filter out the inconsequential from the essential. The important stuff will still be important by the time you get to it. Well, yeah, probably, hopefully. Limit your inputs. It just makes sense. Just reading this headline, or just also thinking about the headline, at least in my point of view, it just also makes sense. That you're not going to use your time and your energy for some things that do not matter. Unless you're just, quote unquote, refilling your time and refilling your energy by spending some time doing some things that are not necessarily important, like watching a movie, doing something with friends. Well, in the end, it is important. In the end, it is important, but because you're recharging, because you're just gaining new energy, because you're maybe you're also treating yourself. I think it is just healthy, and you should also be doing that. So just please don't stop. But yeah, I think that this is going to be the end of the episode here, and I truly, truly fucking enjoy this book. I truly do. And there's something left. I know there's quite something left, which I'm appreciating. And I also do hope that we're going to learn even more in the next few days, maybe weeks, but probably days. But yeah. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically just means being a nice person and then being remembered as this nice person. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These questions should maybe even show you your purpose and eventually also a business idea. Which is kind of the optimal thing that could happen. But yeah, I appreciate you being here. And once again, thank you, my man. And yeah, I am going to see you the next time. At least hope so. Please consider subscribing and also following the podcast, or subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel if you want to. But yeah, I'm going to see you the next time. I at least hope. And it is not working. So the episode is going to be a tiny little bit longer. I do hope that I'm today gonna just do something about all the summaries that I have left out and that I should take care of. I really should, because there's such a lot of content that I haven't put into a summary or summary PDF until now, or until today maybe, and it is fucked up because it's really quite a lot. I've gone through a lot of things or just over the course of multiple days. So